Well, it's certainly been a bit of a bizarre week in entertainment news as three major irrelevant actors from the Disney sequel trilogy have all come out to trash Republicans again, and in such a bizarre and weird way, where it's mostly attacking fans and detractors of the sequel trilogy in, what year is it? 2025. Now, I don't really know why they're coming out and doing this right now. It doesn't really make sense, with the three main people being John Boyega, Marie Tran, and that guy who's the star of Andor, who plays Cassian Andor. I just don't know the actor's name. And what's really bizarre is there have been no controversies with the actor who played Andor. He's just coming out here and attacking Republicans, whereas Marie Tran and John Boyega are both finally jumping on the Star Wars fans are racist trend, which is really bizarre because Marie Tran was the one who was regarded as handling it the best because she never complained about Star Wars fans being racist, from my understanding. Now, I hear it's a badge of honor for all YouTubers to get to have a story where he talks about how these Star Wars actors are being entitled and think we're being racist and bigoted and whatever, so I guess I finally get that chance, especially nice because I've been watching a lot of EFAP on EFAP 78, and that's when they're covering one of these videos that says Star Wars fans are racists. The racism that could never be proven, found, or shown. But before I go any further, like, subscribe, and let's get into this. So I figured I'd go through these statements chronologically, starting with the one you all most likely heard first, being John Boyega slams Star Wars fans who are only okay with black actors as the best friend. They're pandering. Coming from Entertainment, written by Wesley Stenzel. Now, John Boyega is sick of the prejudiced Star Wars fans. The actor behind ex-Stormtrooper Finn riled against viewers of the sci-fi saga who can't accept diverse casting during an appearance in the new documentary #1 on the call sheet, Black Leading Men in Hollywood. Let me tell you, Star Wars has always had the vibe of being the most white elite space. Boyega said, "It's a franchise that's so white that a black person existing in it was something." No, actually, nobody gives a damn. Nobody cares about a black person existing in Star Wars. We're more concerned by when there are more people. That's what our problem is. We want there to be more monsters, more aliens in Star Wars. Now, what's actually really funny is one of the YouTube videos I recently saw from EFAP, this was a video that was released 5 years ago, had said that why were there black people when they should have been Ewoks? This was a show defending the sequel trilogy, saying that the black people should have just been Ewoks. But Boyega went on to explain the inherent problem with the Star Wars films and fans making a big deal out of the incredibly small handful of black characters. You can always tell it's something when some Star Wars fans try to say, well, we had Lando Calrissian and had Samuel L. Jackson, he said. It's like telling me how many cookie chips are in the cookie dough. It's like they just scattered that in there, bro. So first of all, you don't remember Mace Windu's name? Or is it that you don't remember Billy D. Williams' name? And what about Donald Glover, who also played Lando Calrissian? And what about the lovely voice of Darth Vader coming straight from James Earl Jones, one of the most important black actors to ever live? But I guess they don't matter. All of those people are just the best friend role. Or as you put it, they're just scattered in there. Or, and here's the bigger problem, they just happen to be there. It's not a matter of being scattered in, like you said. The reason we mention these actors isn't to obfuscate and distract from your detraction, but instead to point out you're wrong. Look, Billy D. Williams blew up the Death Star. James Earl Jones was fucking the voice of Darth Vader. That is the most iconic sound about him. And Mace Windu was such an iconic Jedi that not only did he get his own unique lightsaber color, expanding the world of lightsabers, but he also has a unique style of lightsaber combat that is dedicated only to him. It is a specific form of lightsaber combat that allows for the user to enhance and modulate his combat with the dark side of the Force. Don't tell me that's just best friend energy when you're literally having the lore of the universe rewritten to affirm how fantastic you are. And then, of course, let's not forget Finn. Nobody wanted Finn to be the best friend. Even the racists didn't want Finn to be the best friend. They wanted Finn to be the main character. And sure, you can say it's just because they're sexist and hated Daisy Ridley, but keep your straw man to yourselves. The biggest issue here is up here. The actor behind ex-Stormtrooper Finn, what we wanted was up-and-coming Jedi Finn. After all, Finn was Force sensitive, and there are a few scenes that heavily suggested this, such as when he wields a lightsaber, and he should have been trained to be the next Jedi instead of sidelined and turned blue and small to affirm China. And then this is just a funny line. Boyega is just one of several Star Wars actors to face racist attacks from the franchise's so-called fans. Kelly Marie Tran, who played Rose Tico in The Last Jedi, was subject to immense prejudice following the film's release in 2017, while Mandela Stenberg, who played the twins Oshan, May, and The Acolyte, received so much online hate that she released a song responding to racist fans during the series run on Disney Plus in 2024. Yep. She faced so much racism that she just had to release that diss track. That's exactly why she did it, not because she's a raging narcissist. And, I wonder, if I click, what do you guys think is the over-under, I get to see some racism? Oh, look, it's her biography. And what about the lovely Amanda Stenberg? Oh, look, it's just her biography and all the news stories about her. Where's the racism, honey? You gonna say it happened? Where is it? I'd love to see it because not a single person has ever proven any of this racism exists. Now, what's really bizarre is this next comment from Boyega. What I would say to Disney is do not bring out a black character, market them to be much more important in the franchise than they are, and have them pushed to the side. It's not good. He said in a 2020 interview with British GQ, opining that the trilogy gave all the nuance to Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver. You know what to do with these other people, but when it came to Kelly Marie Tran, when it came to John Boyega, fuck all. And yes, that is a 100% accurate statement. You know who's actually to blame, being Disney, the studio behind it. They made the bad choices, they made the bad characters, they did the bad writing. And so you come out and you insult Star Wars fans who did none of that? Star Wars fans who demanded better from your character? Make it make sense. But he's not the only one who's coming out and running his mouth, and now we have the actor from Andor, Diego Luna, coming out and cracks a joke that having the Force depends on who you voted for. This one's really weird because it's incredibly unprompted. This one isn't preceded on any so-called hatred. It's not preceded on any so-called racism. There's nothing of that behind it. It's just him tanking the marketing for the show, which there's been very little of. Despite the fact that Andor was the only successful Star Wars show, leads me to believe that Season 2 is going to be significantly worse. Though I never watched Andor because I thought Rogue One was not a particularly good film. I thought it was not good in the slightest bit. Now the weird thing is he comes on to Jimmy Kimmel's show and it's immediately all about politics. When I'm talking about, are you guys also not calling it the Gulf of America or is that just us? Luna responded, who can take that seriously? Come on, that's ridiculous. And while it is an accurate modern name, I do agree it's a bit ridiculous to go by the Gulf of America, even though it is the Gulf between the three Americas, but c'est la vie. From there, Kimmel pressed, but there are a lot of things, I'm sure, that are being taken very seriously back home right now. Luna responded, we feel worried and sad, not just the Mexican community here, but the Latino community and the fear for deportation and family separation. It's just too sad to see what's happening, so don't break the law. Kimmel then claimed, I didn't mean to lead you to a sad thing, but it's worth saying. Interestingly, Luna then questioned Kimmel who he voted for. Kimmel responded with a question, who do you think I voted for? And then at the end of the segment, it was redirected back to politics by Luna. Kimmel asked if the Force spreads to others or if it's limited to him. And Luna responded, it depends who you voted for. Basically just continuing his rage against Republicans for, following basic sense of law and order and saying that only Democrats have access to the Force in its totality. And yet every single one of them has seemed to be utterly consumed by the dark side. And then just today, in another interview shown by Entertainment, Kelly Marie Tran reflects on coming out in spite of Star Wars harassment. Joy is an act of resistance, which is a shitty line, but whatever. And this is a really bizarre one because Kelly Marie Tran is coming out as nothing, by the way. She didn't actually come out as anything. And in doing so, she's also trashing Star Wars fans and enjoyers, claiming the racism is there. The racism she's never once addressed before because it was never there to begin with. The foreign experience of being in a predominantly queer set for the rom-com and remake of Ang Lee's 1993 queer cult classic The Fire Island, director Andrew Ahn led to a watershed moment for the star once filming came to an end, a public coming out. Hey, being on a predominantly queer show isn't that special? Look at Touch Grass with Theo Snodgrass. I'm pretty sure everyone there, except me, is a raging homosexual. I'm just a muted one. I don't really mean to come out initially, Tran tells Entertainment Weekly. Basically, this reporter from Vanity Fair, David Canfield, who just looks floppy-wristed in all sense of the word, came to set when we were shooting the Korean wedding scene, and the first question he asked me was, what are you the most excited about in regards to this project? And I said, I'm so excited to tell a queer story as a queer person, and then I was like, wait, I don't know if I want that in there. I haven't thought about it. Fortunately, Canfield, a former EW staffer, worked with Trent to decide what to do next. He was so kind, she says, and one of our producers, Joe Piro, also came up to me afterwards, and they both said that if you don't want to release this information into the world, you have some time to think about it. The article wasn't coming out for a few months, so they were generous enough to give me the time to consider what it meant for me. I think that says a lot about the environment we were working in, adds Tran, which is one that was very supportive and very aware of what a coming out experience can be for a person. Working on the film, she says, really felt like a warm hug. Kelly, you're a 39-year-old woman. In fact, you're a 39-year-old woman who's been in Hollywood for a decent amount of time. Coming out for you is borderline more expected than not. I'm surprised it took you this long to waste everyone's time and brain power doing so. It's not an arduous process for you when you're in a system of extreme conformity and extreme acceptance. There isn't a single person who's going to shame you in the Hollywood sphere for coming out. But you know what? I, a bisexual man, will gladly shame you on a small YouTube channel for it because nobody cares about your attention baiting. And more importantly is the question of what she came out as. That's right. She came out as queer, a dubious label that is utterly meaningless. It is a label so a straight woman can make herself feel like she's all special. It's worse than a non-binary label, because at least they do retarded stuff to their hair. But Tran continues, I'm shocked she did come out as that one, but ironic if her last name became a prophecy. But that's not to say there wasn't any trepidation. Tran, the first woman of color to lead Star Wars franchise as a resistance fighter, Rose Tico, has already had to endure more public scrutiny than most, namely a deluge of racist and sexist harassment from toxic Star Wars fans. Linking back to yet another article from 2021 which mentions absolutely none of the conversation or insults being levied against Tran. All it has is a few quotes against trolls that people put against her, but there's no actual reference to any hatred being shown, because there was never any hatred being shown. That stuff doesn't exist. I've already been ridiculed. There were comments about my race or comments about me being a woman. I already felt like I was being persecuted for those things, Tran shares. Now I'm like, I'm going to publicly come out. It was a complicated thing to think about. But I'm going to quote Lily Gladstone here, someone who I love dearly and I've learned so much from. She says that joy is an act of resistance, and I think that is really true. When I see other people experiencing joy despite their communities being persecuted, it's such a beautiful, brave, inspiring thing to witness. I don't think I could have done that without the support of my amazing cast, crew, and friends. Why do you give a shit what anybody else thinks about you coming out? Nobody. Why do you care? Legitimately, Kelly Marie Tran, why is your sphere of focus so damn wide? You really should only be concerned about those near you. That's all that should matter. People can complain that you're a pink and yellow polka-dotted elephant and you shouldn't care, because why would you? If it's true, then who gives a shit? If it's not true, you don't know these people. Why do you give them credence? After all, you think they're just dirt-wrangling trolls who aren't worth any consideration, so why are you giving them any consideration? The interview continues, these days, Tran pays no mind to that particular period in her life. I'm so glad that I can live authentically and no longer have that specific experience inform the decision I'm making. She says, quipping, and that's why we go to therapy. That's why we go to support groups. Oh my god, I hate millennial women. Millennial women are the worst to ever exist, aren't they? You know, I was actually involved in some of the discourse back in the day when the sequel trilogy was coming out. That's when I got involved in watching YouTube. I, of course, didn't perpetrate any of it because I've never seen the sequel trilogy. Big shock there. But then again, I also only got into Star Wars around 2018 to 2020. That's when I actually started watching Star Wars. And that was before I had moved over to the right. I was still a lefty back then, and I can tell you with certainty that even as a leftist, I never once saw any of this extreme hatred. I only ever saw criticism of the characters, because the characters were uglified, the characters were poorly written, and the characters were made to be as ridiculous as possible. Each one designed to be a bigger political statement than the next, with absolutely no concern for character or consistency. That's not our fault, that's not the fans' fault, it's not the fans' fault for daring to call it bad writing. If you have an issue with somebody, take it up with Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams, who are too busy having a Twitter war on film than actually delivering a decent story. But I really don't know why these articles are coming out now. It really makes no sense. Why now of all time are you coming out here and playing with this extreme revisionist history? It's not the fans' fault. It was never the fans' fault. Fans are allowed to think critically, and I guess you just have to deal with that. And of course, there's still the fact that no one's ever actually seen any of this alleged abuse or harassment. They've never publicly shared it because they know it doesn't exist. And I'm sure even if some of it did happen, if they did receive these hate messages, I'm sure in my small tenure as a YouTuber, I've received far more. And far more vile, because we know that the party of love is actually the party of hate. It's nothing more than victimhood. It's nothing more than begging for sympathy, and most importantly, it's a job application. John Boyega coming out here and berating the community for racism, it's a job application. Hey guys, I haven't gone to work in a while because I ruined all my fan goodwill. I need a job, and that's what he's doing. Marie Tran, I haven't gone to work in a while, and I have a lot of diversity points. Look at me, I hit all 3 boxes. I need a job. And Luna, I don't really think his is a job application. It's just bizarre why you would come out here and make divisive statements that we know less has tanked products. Why run your mouth now when your show's about to launch? Maybe say that for after the show has been finished and you know the season isn't continuing. Or just continue to be an idiot and throw away any goodwill you had left. But that's pretty much what I've got. Let me know in the comments why you guys think that is happening right now, and I will see you guys on the next one.